Hello everyone and welcome to a truly remarkable game. The game itself is from the 1963 Georgian Championship, and it's between Nona Gaprindashvili and Alexander Blagidze. You guys said that you would enjoy seeing more of Nona's games, and the previous one Nona lost, but of course she faced a former world champion, Mikhael Tal. But here is an example of what can happen when you played against Nona when you weren't a player of Tal's caliber. But Alexander Blagidze here is also an incredibly strong player. He's a 3 times Georgian champion. He won the Georgian championship in 1950, 1953, and 1957. And like I said, this is a game from the 1963 championship. So it's quite amazing. Let's check it out. I would just like to mention the game was sent to me by chess historian Olympio Urkan. He said that I should check it out, that it's quite a nice game, and the title is also from his article, the Nona Goes Nuclear article, which I will link in the description below. It's the first thing you will see. And also, I could not find one photo of Alexander Blagidze except this one, but this one was behind the paywall, so I had to make a choice of using the hoodie guy or paying $10 for this very nice photo of Alexander Blagidze. I decided to pay the $10. So this is one of the... It could be the only video that actually has production cost I've made so far, and I've made over 3,000 videos, I believe. Or maybe 2,000. I don't know. I've made a lot of videos, but just thought you guys might find that interesting. But aside from that, not only is he a 3 times Georgian champion, he also had a nice game against Tigran Petrosyan. He drew against him, and he also has a very nice win against none other than Rashid Nejmedinov. And he faced many other strong players, but just wanted to talk a little bit about him before we check out the actual game, because the game, there is no better word to describe this game. The game is actually nuclear. So let's check it out. Nona with the white pieces opens with e4, and we have c5 by Blagidze going for the Sicilian defense. And Nona mentions that usually he's a French player, and it was in fact in the French defense that he defeated Rashid Nejmedinov, and well, it's not easy attacking the French. Many have tried, many have failed. If you remember a certain game Bobby Fischer played, it was the only game he lost in that tournament against a certain guy from these areas. But okay, let's continue the game. Knight to c3. We have knight to c6 and now f4, going for the Grand Prix attack. We have g6 and now bishop to b5, putting pressure on the knight here. Knight to d4 now, attacking the bishop. So okay, black wastes a move, white will waste a move as well. Bishop back to c4 and bishop to g7. Now we're gonna develop the nice, play some pawn moves, maybe castle and so on. We have knight g to e2 and now e6, kind of preparing queen to h4, because if the knight ever moves, then the f4 pawn could fall. But Gaprindashvili said that she knew her opponent kind of well, not knew him maybe, but she knew what was his style, and she said that he could not resist going after the pawn. So she decided to go for this pawn sacrifice. So knight captures on d4, c captures on d4, attacking the knight. The other knight goes to e2, kind of defends the f4 pawn, and now queen to h4 with check. And now you could play g3, kicks the queen away, keeps the f4 pawn safe, and okay, you weaken the light squares a little bit, but you kind of still have the light square bishop. It's not really where it should be anymore, but maybe it's playable. But Nona decides to play knight to g3 and give up the f4 pawn, and this is where the fun really begins. Queen captures on f4, Blagidze accepts the pawn sacrifice, and now d3, nicely developing the bishop, and you don't have to worry about queen to c7 coming with tempo. So queen to c7 was played, and now Nona just castles. So for the price of this one pawn, you have a knight, rook, and bishop out in the game. You have very natural square for developing your dark square bishop. The queen can easily go into the game. g4, f3 are available. So white definitely has compensation. So knight to e7, preparing the castle, and now again developing with tempo. Bishop g5, not allowing black to castle. The knight would hang. So here you might consider a lot of moves. You could play d6, you could play queen to c5, you could play a lot of moves, but queen to c5 is actually very interesting. It defends the knight and puts pressure on the bishop on g5. You could counter it with queen to d2, and the game continues. However, here knight to c6 was played, and it makes sense. The c6 square is such a natural square for the knight. You no longer have this target on e7. You're ready to castle. But there is one move that allows Nona to go for this amazing attack that, well, is just unlike something we've seen on this channel, except maybe in Tal and Rashid's games. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this idea while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this amazing idea. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's knight to h5. That's the move. Yes, it looks really weird, and it doesn't seem like a forcing move at all, because you could just say, okay, I'm just gonna ignore the knight. Let's say you castle, but it's now a dead lost position. Now white just captures the bishop, king captures the bishop to f6 check. No good moves here, king to g8, and now queen to d2. And now queen to h6 followed by queen to g7 checkmate is unstoppable because black's dark squares are just a mess. So the other thing you could do after knight to h5 is say, all right, it's a weird move. I'm gonna play a weird move as well. Maybe counter the knight this way. Now the knight can't really go anywhere. My bishop covers all of these squares, and the knight is still attacked. The problem is knight to f6 check now. Bishop captures, and now white is positionally, white positionally already won. There are so many dark square weaknesses around the black king, and black has nothing to counter this beautiful dark square bishop with. And again, queen to d2 is coming. You're gonna bring that queen into the game, and there's nothing for this king to do. He can just wait and see what happens. So the only way to counter this, amazing weird move is to accept the knight sacrifice. So we have pawn captures knight, and now how do you continue here? Well, there is but one move. Rook captures on f7. Now we sacrifice the rook, and this rook sacrifice cannot be accepted. Later, Nona also did a notation in this game, and she showed a way for black to kind of hold this position, but we're going to get back to that. Hope I remember this. So rook captures on f7, and now what do you play? If you accept this, king captures on f7, well, then it's just queen to h5 check, and there's no hope for you. Whatever you do just runs into checkmate. If you go king to g8, then queen to e8 check, or if you go king f8, first rook to f1 check, so everything loses. But okay, just to show you, queen e8 check, we're going to block with the bishop. Now rook f1, and there's no defense. It's either queen to f8 checkmate or queen to f7 checkmate. You cannot defend against both. So what you could do here is try something else. Okay, maybe we can't capture the rook. What do we play here? Well, here queen to e5 was played, but now there is such a cool move that can be played here. So feel free to pause the video for the second time and try to find this brilliant win for white while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on not capturing the h5 pawn with the queen. We're going to discuss this, no worries. But for those of you who found the actual move, then truly congratulations. The move is rook to f5. You are an amazing attacker, much like Tal or Nizhmedinov. Now, it was we only have the PGN up until this point. We don't have the rest of the game. But as Nona explains, black resigned in but a few moves, so it doesn't really matter, because whatever you play here, you are completely dead lost. There's no move you can play here. Queen captures on h5 is just a terrible threat, and there's no way to counter it. If you accept the rook sacrifice, then you open up this light square bishop diagonal. The dark square bishop diagonal is completely crushing, and then it's just a queen captures on h5 check, king to f8, and now queen to f7 checkmate. So nothing really going on for black there. Another thing black might try is give up the queen with queen captures on f5. Okay, then we accept the queen, for example. Now black can castle, and you get this position, but still it's completely winning for white. A move like f6, and there's not much you can do. Bishop captures, we're gonna capture on h5, and well, rook to f1 is now coming. This is just completely lost. Captures with check. We're gonna move. Let's say we attack the rook's gonna move. Now we play rook to f1, and now rook to f7 followed by checkmate or something like that. It's completely unplayable. You could play knight e5, blocking this rook to f7 idea. Now we play h3, simply not to allow knight to come to g4 if we play rook to f7. Or not if we play rook to f7, we can play that, but we don't want to allow a move like this. So here, whatever black plays next move, we go with rook to f8, and now how do you defend? There's nothing you can do. Queen to f6 will be checkmate, so you have to play this to kind of block, or rather even knight to g6 just to block this, and now we're gonna play rook to f7, go after the pawn here, knight to f8 defending, and now queen to f6 check followed by checkmate. So this is not happening. So after rook to f5, there is no move that black can play. And of course, like Nona mentions, it was only in a few moves that black resigned the game. And if you move the black queen somewhere, it doesn't really matter where, just queen to h5 check is mate in 1. There's no square for you left. The bishop covers this, the rook covers f8, it's completely lost. So I would just like to mention that position that Nona also mentions after rook captures on f7, that there was one move that allows black to defend, but it's such a tricky move. The move is, of course, h6. This is the move that holds for black, but it's so ugly that, well, the point is, if queen captures on h5, now we simply play h captures on g5, and we have no useful discoveries because our queen is hanging, so there really isn't anything good for us here. If we play something like queen to g6 to try and keep the tension and try to do some damage, queen captures on h2, and then, well, white is just in big trouble. So after h6, there really is no good way for white to continue the attack. You have to move the bishop, and then the game continues. For example, bishop f4. We're going to play bishop to e5 now, just threaten to capture it as our queen was attacked. And if queen captures on h5, now king to d8, and the black survives. Perhaps, of course, in a perfect world, that's why she says that black has chances of defense and not that black actually has a defense. But yeah, h6 in this position could hold, but it would only ruin this masterpiece. So in the actual game, we're just going to remember it with rook to f5. This is the end position you guys are going to show to your friends at the bar in the library. So there we have it, rook to f5, and the black resigned. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you, Olympio, for sending me this brilliant gem, and I hope you guys enjoyed that as well, and hope you guys enjoyed the photo of Alexander Blagidze, as this is, like I said, the only video that actually has production cost that I've made. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and this blistering win by Nona. So we don't only have the loss to Tal, but we also have this where she just crushes a 3 times Georgian champion, and someone who played so many impressive players, and some of them he defeated, some of them he drew, some of them he lost, but she just completely crushed him. So that's the kind of player that Nona was, and no wonder that she wanted to play such a fierce game against Misha. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Raikon Hong, Antoine Bull, Daniel Silverberg, Shanti Chaganti, and Matthias Bünte for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, and I will check, of course, on everything else that's happening in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.